Boris Johnson was not really trying to get a deal at all. Is there any evidence in the papers at all of the outcome of what might be a deal eventually?
There's a suggestion of the opposite here, which is that the suggestion in the Telegraph that in the EU they see this as a sign that he's not trying to get a deal. His kind of chief negotiator, David Frost, went over there. There is some talk about whether there's something that could be done in Ireland, maybe a shift towards the Northern Ireland backstop.
Because that's really interesting.
I mean, you do get the mood music that maybe they would accept something that would allow us to have a Northern Ireland-only backstop. We know the EU would be OK with that. Boris Johnson's problem has been that he's been dependent on DUP votes. They would never accept that. But we now know there are more Labour MPs who are interested in a deal.
Well, if the electoral maths changes in Parliament, then obviously there's less of a need to keep the DUP sweet. Whether there's this sense that they're going to, quotes, throw them under a bus, we know that there are parties in the Cabinet, including Jacob Rees-Mogg, that would rather die in a ditch himself than see that. And
sounds like we're going to have some pretty crowded ditches before too long, if we're not careful.
Indeed.
This is threat to paralyse the EU, it describes it as.
Well,
what's going on there?
This is interesting. I think, to be fair, this emanated out of Nick Watt on Newsnight earlier in the week. This sense that there could be some way of just taking us out automatically by refusing to nominate a commissioner for the EU Commission. And apparently that could cause an automatic break. It are these sorts of desperate measures that are now being considered. Also talk that's been echoed in all of the papers about whether he's going to defy this Supreme Court ruling, should there be one, against his decision not to obey the bill, and what might be the consequence of that. Clearly, aides in Downing Street have been hunkered down all weekend trying to see and navigate a way out of this. Cummings has been keeping some cards close to his chest, although the briefings in the paper suggest, I think the word was, they were going to take a chainsaw to the legislation and any idea that he would extend.
Apparently we haven't seen anything yet in terms of what Cummings is planning. He is meeting Leo Varadkar tomorrow, which is going to be really important.
He being Boris Johnson.
He being Boris Johnson, sorry, because we are, as we understand it, there was a cabinet meeting in Ireland where they were looking at, you know, what no deal would look like.
4 hours they were sitting there.
Really shocked people. They do want to get a deal, but from the sound of what we're hearing in the papers, the two sides are still really quite far apart.